Facebook, hey, we're all familiar with it. It's a social media that's used by many people, many organizations, and campaign organizations. Well, the use by a campaign organization takes us to this week's case. Case started out way back in 2009. 2009, there was going to be an election for sheriff in Hampton City, Virginia. And there, the incumbent who was running for re-election was not particularly liked by some of his employees. And 6 of the people who were on the sheriff's staff decided that they were going to work against him, but they didn't really want their efforts to be all that overt. So what they did is, when the campaign launched a Facebook page, it went to the Facebook page and these 6 employees clicked on like, that we like the campaign and therefore we support it. And they were now identified as supporters of the opponent to the sitting sheriff. Well, the election took place, and guess what? Sitting sheriff was reelected. So these 6 employees suddenly find themselves out of a job. They were fired. They argued it was retaliation for supporting the opponent to the sitting sheriff. And apparently there was sufficient information and facts to support that. So they also argued that their clicking like on Facebook was basically constitutionally protected speech. They said, you know, this is very similar to our putting up a yard sign in our yard, or it'd be also similar to our wearing a campaign button on behalf of the opponent. And because we were doing that kind of stuff, well, we got fired. And because we were using constitutionally protected speech, that's unfair. That's unfair. So, case went forward. At the trial court level, the court heard arguments from both sides. On the side of the employees, it heard the arguments that I've just stated, that it should be and basically viewed as a yard sign or as a campaign badge. On the other side, the people who were saying that this wasn't retaliation and that it was not a constitutionally protected speech to simply hit click like on a Facebook page, were saying there wasn't that much activity. You know, a yard sign, you got to go out, you got to get the yard sign, you got to put it up. Even something as simple as wearing a campaign button, well, you put it on, you wear it daily, you change clothes, you have to put it on again. And long story short, there's some effort, there's some real effort in order to show that you're supporting that candidate. In this instance, they really didn't do anything much. They just clicked like on a Facebook page. So we don't think it's constitutionally protected speech. Well, at the trial court level, the court listened to both arguments and came away saying, you guys are right. You guys are right. We don't think there was that much effort here. There was insufficient effort to really constitute any kind of constitutionally protected speech. And therefore, hey, you guys are out of here. You don't have a case. And that's it. Well, the guys who lost took it up on appeal, went up on appeal, and at the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, court heard it and did a very careful analysis of this. And they said, you know, these guys are making some sense over here, and if in fact clicking like on a Facebook page for a campaign site is similar to putting up a yard sign, well, that yard sign activity we know is protected by the U.S. Supreme Court as free speech. We also know wearing campaign buttons is protected as free speech and political speech. And you know what? We find that that is a very viable and meritorious argument, and accordingly, we find that their activity of clicking like on a Facebook page constituted constitutionally protected speech, and that they being fired as a result of engaging in the campaign was retaliation, should not have occurred, and they should be reinstated. Okay, so what do we learn from this case? What do we learn from this case? Well, one thing we learn is that free speech in the political context in the United States is very seriously protected. It is a right that has been cherished for centuries in this country, and a right that was enshrined in the Constitution by men who realized that you need to be able to have vigorous political speech if you're going to run a free country and have candidates run for election. And in this instance, new technology arises. Facebook, that wasn't around obviously in the 1700s when the Constitution was written, but Facebook now is being seen to play a role in political campaigns. And when somebody utilizes it in a political campaign, their rights, their political speech is protected by the Constitution. Needless to say, Facebook was very pleased with this, to think that in fact, simply clicking like on Facebook constituted constitutionally protected speech. But in the big scheme of things, it's really about expression and how you make your opinions known. And if those opinions are in reference to a political campaign, those opinions are very carefully protected as free speech under the U.S. Constitution. All right, we bring you this case, as we bring you cases every week, so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.